psyched about college.
It's like a whole new world.
It's gonna be tough, though, with a roommate.
She was ready for a fresh start, but life just gets more terrifying. A new season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Freshman.
Time of self-discovery, a new start.
I'm psyched about college.
The average undergrad has enough to worry about, but she's never been
Did you
average.
just hear something? Why don't you quit hiding and come out and face me like a thing?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. College,
Isn't this amazing?
Wow.
where anything can happen
What if I can't cut it?
and everything can change.
You are going to have to take care of yourself now.
Buffy, this is all about fear.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Nicholas Brendan, Allison Hannigan, Seth Green, and Anthony Head.
This time we play it my way.
High school is over. The all-new season of Buffy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
And I am 60s teen idol James.
Okay, don't know where to go with that. Welcome back, everyone. Wow, it seems like it's been over a month.
It has been.
Oh, it has been.
It has
Okay,
been.
my
It has
bad.
been.
My bad.
Has been. Yeah.
We are going to be jumping into season 4, episode 1 of Buffy the Freshman.
Yes. But let's take a moment to remind everyone that not only is this season 4 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it is season 4 of the podcast itself. And therefore, we will now be covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, as we have now spun off into the first season of Angel.
That's right. We will be doing Buffy episodes will be dropping on Monday, as always.
Yes.
And Angel episodes will be dropping on Wednesday.
Yes.
The same date and time, or the same time.
Same time. Yes. Early in the morning. So you will be getting a double dose of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited, every week for the next 22 weeks.
Yeah.
Because
We'll be getting a double dose of our glorious sexiness.
yes, because
Oh.
Angel, I for some reason I thought Angel was only a 12 episode first season, but it's not. It's 22.
It's 22, baby.
Yes, it is.
So you're going to be sick of us by the time this season is over.
Right. If you're not already sick of us and just like pity tuning in.
Right. And then we'll have 3 more seasons of Buffy, and 4 more seasons of Angel. So we still have a ways to go, ladies and germs.
We do. We do still have a long ways to go for people who aren't getting paid to do this.
Right. So James, how's it been? How are you? How's it going? Tell us all about your life in these last, what has it been? 5.5 weeks?
5.5 weeks. Sorry, hold on. I'm tangled here.
You appear to be.
Oh man, there we go.
Getting into some footage over there.
Things have been all right. I am as people probably don't recognize because I've got the background blurred. Let me unblur that real quick. People might recognize not this particular area, but they may recognize the shelving back there.
Okay. So that you're in your torture dungeon
from last summer. Yes, I'm in my torture dungeon again for the summer. No, I'm in Michigan visiting family. I've been here since July 4th weekend. As I was telling you before we started recording, I when I first got here on the Saturday of 4th of July weekend, I unloaded all my work stuff, got it set up right away, made sure everything was working. I could log into, remote into work and everything, and everything was copacetic. So I was like, all right, I'll be good to go after the long 4th of July holiday weekend. I logged in on Tuesday morning, and about 5 minutes into being logged in, my computer started to smoke. and before I could shut it down, it stopped, and that was the end of my work PC. So I've been I scrambled to get my mom's laptop up and running, and I used that for a couple days, and luckily my uncle, my aunt's husband, he's a techie computer guy. He had a spare PC laying around, so that's what I've been using since then. So that was that was an exciting way to start the summer off up here.
Yeah, that's always a good way to start the summer is
Right.
smoking
smoking computers, especially when you rely on it to like work.
Yes.
So
Especially then.
right, and then what else has been going on? Oh, just
Well,
today.
Those that are watching us may notice that you are now short-haired and beardless.
I do. Yes. Well, again, the summer look, short hair, the beard's gone. Yeah. So, we're in full summer mode here, bro.
Full summer mode.
Today I had what was my third visit to a local ophthalmologist because I had an ulcer in the cornea of my left eye.
Nice.
So that's been pleasant to deal with. It's actually very good now, but you should have seen it. This was my third visit, so about 3 weeks ago, it was bright red and swollen.
What the hell causes an ulcer in your cornea?
Bacteria. It's bacteria infection.
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow. Okay. So you've had a bang-up vacation.
I have had. I don't really consider it a vacation since I still have to work.
I mean, vacation from the show.
Right. Yeah.
But you've really just been.
Yeah.
You've been living the life.
I have been. How are things for you there in Indiana? I see you survived last weekend's storms.
Yeah, I did, and I'm sure everyone will be happy to hear that absolutely fucking nothing happened. I mean, when I say nothing, I mean like a fart in the wind. Nothing happened. I mean, they were on us for 3 fucking days, these weather people. This is going to be serious shit. And I mean, we get storms here all the time, so it's not like we're storm scaredy cats or anything. We get pretty nasty shit here in the Midwest, so it's nothing new. But, for 3 days they were telling, pumping us, be weather ready and it's coming. And we got about a half an inch of rain and like 20-mile-an-hour winds. And that was it. So us missing that weekend to record and thus pushing the show back a week coming back was all for nothing. Now, I firmly believe that had we recorded and everything and went on as normal, then monsoon level 37 would have hit and,
would have fried all of your shit.
All of my shit and blew me out the window, and I would have woken up in Oz. And so
the fictional land, not the fictional werewolf.
Right, and not the fictional prison either.
Right.
So
of those 3, what would be the worst to wake up in?
I would say probably the fictional prison.
Okay.
Where there's notorious butt raping and various other things I wouldn't want to partake in.
I
Murder,
understand.
whatnot.
Murder in particular.
Murder and butt raping. I'd be okay with not partaking in those activities.
Okay then. Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, nothing new for me. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I'm a loser.
Wow.
I just stay home and be my loser self.
Wow.
No, I enjoy the summer and lots of outdoor time and activities and projects and whatnot. But wow, you really don't need to do that. That's really necessary. If you guys are, if you happen to be watching this, he's going to be annoying with these emojis now because he's figured out how to do it. So, but
What?
yeah,
that was the sad face emoji because you were sad.
I wasn't sad. I wasn't sad at all.
You're saying sad things.
Oh well, maybe it made you sad. That's you're projecting your sadness onto me.
I've aside from my work PC exploding and the ulcer on my eye, I've been having a good summer.
Aside from my PC blowing up and my eye falling out of my skull, it's been a bang up few weeks.
I've enjoyed dinner on the beach every Friday for the last month and a half.
Now, is that slang for gay sex?
It is. It is. Yes.
Dinner on the beach.
Dinner on the beach. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be on Urban Dictionary in like a matter of weeks.
Okay.
I just recently coined it.
Dinner on the beach. Gay sex.
Right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Wow.
No, otherwise, nothing new. We're just back at it, and I'm kind of rejuvenated. I was ready for that break. I always am at the end of a season. You know, it's a lot of work. And
It is, and this season's gonna be it's gonna be
this season's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I mean, taking out aside the fact that it's arguably the
No, it's not arguable.
lesser of the 7 seasons of Buffy. We're doing 2 shows now, 2 full seasons worth of shows.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
And I say it's not arguable. Season 4 of Buffy is without a doubt the biggest steaming pile of shit this side of steaming piles of shit. Which we've been warning everyone all along of people who maybe haven't watched the show before and are watching it new with us.
Right.
I in particular hate this season.
Right.
Everything it stands for.
But like I said, setting that aside, you know, we're doubling up on our quote unquote workload each week. So, you know,
come mid-season break, buddy, I'm gonna be ready.
Yeah, that mid-season break is gonna be. I mean, you'll figure, you know, we will have effectively done an entire season of a show by the time the mid-season break rolls around. So,
I will be phoning my heroin dealer.
Wow.
And, I'll probably double up that week. So if I take a hot dose, that might be why I'm not back.
Right. We're gonna have to postpone the coming back from our 2-week hiatus in between in the mid-season for
2 weeks might not be enough for me to come out of my coma.
Exactly. You're just gonna go full on.
Oh yeah. I'll be tied off in the bathroom, laying in the floor, and nodding.
Right.
But anyway,
crying, mumbling to yourself, mumbling Riley, just mumbling Riley over and over.
I hate everything about you. Anyway, James, what do you say that you break out the blender, some blow torches, and some wrenches, and cook us up some dates and deets? You don't use blow torches and wrenches?
Not. I mean, if I make a creme brulee, I might break out a kitchen blowtorch to.
Okay.
You know,
no wrenches though. No.
Typically, no wrenches in the kitchen unless there's something wrong with the sink that I need to fix.
Well, how about you break out the tools that you wish to use, and cook us up some dates and deets.
Let's do that. We are diving into Buffy the Vampire season 4.
Sleason. It is a sleason.
And let me give you this is something we're gonna do new starting this season. I'm gonna give you a season 4 synopsis.
Oh, for the whole season.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Buffy begins
sounds of vomiting and diarrhea.
Buffy begins college feeling completely overwhelmed, but once the monsters show up, it's just like old times. Then she starts dating Riley, a handsome commando battling the same monsters. He's part of a secret organization called the Initiative, and Buffy is all too happy to join the team. But she soon suspects the Initiative may be more dangerous than the monsters they're supposed to be battling.
Is he, though? When it says handsome, blah, 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 is he, though?
I mean, I suppose there's people out there that find Mark Blucas to be an attractive man.
Well,
he doesn't do anything.
There's also people out there that like to have their nuts nailed to a step stool, so taste can't really be taken into account here.
He, as far like on, if I were to create a list of attractive men, I don't think I would put him on it.
Yeah, he just.
But that's me.
People will figure out as we go along with the season how little I care for or about.
Right,
not
and
the character, but even the actor. I mean,
that. Do you feel like that could be shading your opinion of his attractiveness? Do you feel like just from an aesthetic purpose, just from like an aesthetic? If you were just to see Mark Blucas, no idea who he is, would you be like, that's an attractive man?
No, I mean he's much more handsome than I am, but
right,
that's like being the nicest guy in prison.
He's no David Boreanaz.
No, and to me he's very average. He's just you could walk down the street.
He's every corn-fed farm boy from Cornhusker, Idaho.
Cornhusker, Idaho. Okay,
yeah.
I need to look that up on the map.
Look it up. Look it up.
But yeah, he's just. I don't know. And it has nothing to do with his attractiveness as to why I don't like him. But I will go into much detail.
No. I was just wondering if your dislike of him as an actor and the character was maybe shading your opinion of his physical attractiveness.
No, I mean, yeah, probably, but I mean, I think I'm pretty spot on his acting abilities, considering he's been in exactly fucking nothing since here. So
I don't think that's true. I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure.
He's been in some things, but let's be honest, is it anything anyone gives a fuck about?
It's true. That's true.
Exactly.
Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, I've got as we have done in seasons past, just a little season 4 overall behind the scenes, and actually nothing, like there's not a lot. The biggest thing is that all of the exterior shots of UC Sunnydale were filmed on the UCLA campus.
Oh wow, that's really hard to believe. That's a shocker.
So, but otherwise, really nothing major behind the scenes for season 4 overall.
Although I do believe, from things I've heard and read over the years, I believe this is the season where Nikki Brendan starts his extracurricular activities begin. What's the word? Making a bit of an issue.
Okay.
On set and whatnot. I believe this is when they kind of manifest themselves to where everyone's like, oh, okay, so he's that guy.
Okay. And I know too that this first episode they did shoot, they tried to shoot a lot inside UCLA, and they quickly realized that wasn't going to be feasible in the
Yeah,
long run.
all these people,
Right. And ended up building the sets for the interior of UC Sunnydale. Now that we have the overall season stuff out of the way, let's dive into Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 4, Episode 1, our 57th episode of the series overall, The Freshman. Our episode director this week is Joss Whedon, and our episode credited writer this week is also Joss Whedon.
I'm sorry, who?
He who shall not be named.
I don't even know that name.
Our original air date was October 5th, 1999 on the now defunct WB network. Our Nielsen rating for the season premiere was 4.4 million households when it first aired, ranking it 87th out of the 135 network primetime shows airing that week and 4th out of the 14 primetime shows airing on the WB that week. Our regular cast includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Seth Green as Oz, and Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. R.I.P. Charisma Carpenter and David Boreanaz.
Hang on. Let me pour a little bit out for my homies.
Let's pour one out for the homies.
By the way, I just want to correct you quickly, and it's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
I don't think it is.
Actually, it is.
Really?
She insists on that. Yes.
Does she?
Yes.
Was that pillow talk between the two of you, or?
Yes, we were late night sexting, and she told me that.
She was like, "Tell that idiot that co-hosts that show with you that it's Galar."
It's Galar, you fucking Midwest tar.
I'm still gonna say Geller, so we're all aware.
Okay.
Our guest stars this week include Christine Sutherland as Joyce, Mark Blucas as Riley Finn, Dagny Kerr as Kathy Newman, Catherine Town as Sunday, Lindsay Krause as Maggie Walsh, and Pedro Balmaceda as Eddie, better known to most of us today as Daddy Pedro Pascual.
That's right. Who is, a.k.a.
Amanda fucking Lorian.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Young Pedro Pascal in this episode, which is going to be pretty awesome. By the way, just really quick before we get started, if your name was Mark Blupkis or whatever the hell his name is,
Blucas,
same thing, and you became an actor, would you change your name?
Not if I was happy with my name.
But would you be happy if your last name was Blupkis?
It's Blucas, for one.
Blupkis, same thing.
Apparently he was happy with it, is happy with it.
Okay, just asking.
Speaking of Pedro Pascal on Buffy here, anybody that hasn't seen it, look up a clip. It's from him on Entertainment Tonight. And
it's really recent, too.
It is very recent. Apparently, Sarah Michelle had Instagrammed something out regarding Pedro. And the Entertainment Tonight reporter mentioned it to him on the red carpet of something. And this man got so excited, and you could literally, he was fangirling in real time over the fact that SMG mentioned him on Instagram, and then he started gushing about his time on the show, which really
was all about 3 scenes.
Right, amounts to maybe 10 minutes of the episode. So he was maybe on set for a day.
Probably a day.
But it's
no, you can
lack of a better term,
he loves SMG.
For lack of any better terms, it's the cutest damn thing to see him fangirling over Sarah Michelle and his brief time on Buffy, this one episode appearance. So I urge everyone to go out and find that clip. It's pretty damn cute. Our episode synopsis this week, and I hope you've got one ready, Jeremy, because this one sucks.
Oh, good. I can't wait to hear this.
Buffy contends with a weird college roommate and dating campus men, while Xander unexpectedly returns from his adventure.
What?
I don't know. I don't
The
know.
second part is completely untrue.
Yeah.
The first part is, I guess, true, but it's like 2 minutes worth of the episode.
Right.
And
right.
wow, that's just all fucked up.
Yeah.
I think mine's definitely going to win it this week.
Okay.
Mine is simply Buffy feels like a fish out of water in her first year at college, but the mysterious disappearance of a fellow student puts her back in her element. Pretty fucking spot on.
Pretty fucking spot on. Pretty fucking spot
Dating.
on.
Okay, how did that say again? Dating what? College men?
Dating campus men.
Dating campus men. Men, plural.
Men.
So she's been at college for, let's probably 2 or 3 days, and she's already dated more than one man. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Our episode opens with Buffy and Willow, and they're on a stakeout at the cemetery while they're having a conversation about what classes Buffy should take for her first semester at college. And we find out through the course of the discussion that Buffy has waited until literally the last possible second to decide what classes to take, which she says is due to a busy summer of slaying, and that and we also find out that Giles told her she needs to start being secret identity girl again while at college. And while they're talking, the vampire that they're waiting for wakes up and digs himself out of his grave, and he goes to attack them and spots the arsenal of weapons sitting by them, and he kind of shakes his head and scampers off, and Buffy and Willow don't notice, and Buffy makes a comment to the effect, she looks over their shoulders and says, is this guy ever going to wake up? And that's our cold open.
That is. And when we come back from what would have been a commercial break, it's the next day. It's nice and sunny. Oh, no pun intended. We see the outside of a college, which is, and the sign says UC Sunnydale, which, as James has told us, is actually UCLA. Buffy's walking around seemingly lost. She's looking for a particular hall, a particular building. And, of course, as most college campuses, every 5 steps she takes, there's a student there handing out a pamphlet regarding some type of, whether it's a party, a protest, a bitch fest, who the fuck knows, but she's getting tons of those. And then she runs into Willow. And Willow is just, giddy. She is so happy to be at college. And they're comparing all the pamphlets and whatnot that they have each gotten. And Buffy's like, "Oh yeah, here's one about something about Jello shots," and Willow's like, "I didn't get Jello shots." So Buffy just gives her all of her stuff, and but she's like, "Oh, am I being annoying?" And Buffy's like, "No, it's it's nice that you're excited and happy." And then James, Willow goes into a little spiel.
She does.
About
you know what? Why don't you just play the clip? Why don't you just play the clip for the people?
Let that serve
right.
serve purpose.
Warning: it is the most vulgar thing.
Yes, and that's why I'm playing it.
Yes.
Here we go.
But here, the energy, the collective intelligence, it's like this force, this penetrating force, and I can just feel my mind opening up, you know? And letting this place just thrust into and spurt knowledge into...
Yeah. Um, I have this feeling that, I don't know, Joss was incredibly horny the day he wrote this script. I don't know. Or he wanted to see if he could get her to be like her character from American Pie. I don't know. I don't fucking know, but that was just so out of nowhere and creepy that when I first saw it, I was like, I don't remember that at all, but anyway, we cut to them that they're still together. They're heading up to the, they ran into Oz, didn't they, earlier?
They did.
They ran into Oz.
They run into.
I skipped that.
And of course, his scene it's subtly hilarious.
Oh, of course. He knows everyone.
He knows everyone. He knows where everything is.
Yeah, because he and his band have played here many, many times.
Right. But he's trying to play it off like he's confused to try and make Buffy feel better.
Right. So anyway, he ends up going off, and then it's just Willow and Buffy, and they're we cut to the inside, and they're walking up some steps, and they're still talking. They're talking about Giles and like what's he been up to, and I guess he's just being. How does Willow say that? Willow says he's now a
slacker.
A slacker, yeah. Not working or anything, and then they talk about Xander, because he's been on his cross country trip, ever since the end of school, and wondered when he's going to get back and whatnot. And they come up to the top of the steps into this fucking amazing library. It's like fucking enormous. I guess it's the real UCLA library.
Yeah. It's my understanding that a lot of the first few episodes of this season were filmed not only on the UCLA campus, but inside UCLA. And it kind of didn't take them long to realize that they weren't going to be able to keep doing that. So they ended up having UC Sunnydale sets built.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing library. And then they head off to the bookstore. They got to get, or I think it's just Buffy that's got a few books she still needs to get, because I'm sure Willow's already well ahead of the game.
Right.
So they're in said bookstore, and one of the books that Buffy needs, which I believe is the psych book, right?
Yeah, it's intro to psychology. Yeah.
Is up on the very top of a shelf, and it's kind of hard to reach, and she barely reaches it, but she knocks one off, and it falls down and it hits this guy in the head who's bent down at the time. And he stands up, and who the fuck is it, James? What's his fucking name?
Riley. This is our introduction to Riley Finn.
This is Mark Bupkis. I'm only calling him Bupkis for the rest of the season. Bupkis. So he's got a herpy-derpy fucking way about him, and I guess it's supposed to be cool and elusive, but it's herpy-derpy to me. And they talk and whatnot, and he goes off with Willow. So I'm like, wow, Willow's fucking... By the way, we didn't mention Willow's got it sporting a new haircut, and looking even finer than normal is Miss Rosenberg. And she goes off with Mr. supposed hunk boy here. And okay, we just stop for a minute. So usually if a couple of characters are going to become like a thing or whatever, there should be this moment upon their first meeting, where there's like, whoa, a spark, or whoa, like they kind of lock onto each other, and it's just like, whoa, there's something there, some type of magnetism. No such thing takes place here. Buffy doesn't seem to give two shits about him. He doesn't seem to give two shits about Buffy.
I would disagree with the first part of that statement. Buffy is clearly taken aback by him. She's she's fumbling with her words and stammering a little and talking to him. So I think there's definitely something there on Buffy's part. But you're right. He does seem complete. He does seem more interested in not in a romantic sense, but he does seem more interested in conversing with Willow.
Well, it's okay to be wrong. So they Bupkis and Willow.
I'm not sure we watched the same episode if you took away that Buffy had absolutely no interest in him whatsoever.
Let's put it this way. There wasn't any type of magnetism like when the first time she saw fucking Angel.
I'm not saying that there was, but I'm saying...
And then when they went off together, she was just like, meh, okay, bye. You know, so... Anyway, Bupkis and Willow go off, and Buffy goes off on her own, falls down a flight of stairs, and dies. And the fucking episode's over. No, Buffy has gone into the dorm area, which is obviously a different building, to find her dorm. That was very poorly worded. And she walks in, and her roommate's already there. And as soon as we meet this chick, you can tell she's like one of these annoying, weird. I don't even know what adjectives to use, but you can tell she's going to be, gosh, can you think of a nice adjective to use, James?
I just think she's annoying.
Okay, yeah. She's just weird, and she's talking nonstop, and Buffy's like, "Oh, fuck me." And then she puts up a poster on her side of the room that's Celine Dion. So Buffy's like, "Oh, crikey." And so yeah, while she's talking, Buffy's actually looking in her nightstand for a knife to cut her wrist with, but she never does find one. And we cut to that night, and they're sleeping. And Buffy can't sleep because this weird girl is over there snoring like a fucking buzzsaw. And Buffy's just kind of looking around in the dark like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into? And I'm like, yeah, because she does go home later and then comes back to school. And it seems like it's not very far between, from where her home, where Mama's house is, and where the UC Sunnydale is. So I'm like, why not save a few bucks and just live at home, But anyway, okay. Another question, really quick. We know that Willow's on a full ride here, right? We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Buffy? Do you think she's got any type? Is she purely on like FAFSA here and personal loans, or do you think Mom's footing the bill?
And Mom's probably kicking in.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's footing the entire bill, but
because I'm just curious. I mean, obviously, Buffy didn't get any academic scholarships or anything, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think there might be the presumption that since she did so well on the SATs and
that's right. I forgot about that.
And did manage to get into several good schools before ultimately opting to UC Sunnydale, that she probably did manage a scholarship of some sort, but I don't think so. Like, testing well on your SATs isn't enough to warrant getting a scholarship. And I don't feel like her grades in high school were probably good enough to.
Well, that's where I was going to go next. What do you say her GPA was at graduation?
2 point something.
That's what I was going to say, 2.5, something like that.
Yeah.
Because gosh, she missed. How long was it was it last season? Yeah, when she was like kicked out. She missed how many months did she miss completely?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I just find all these pointless conversations interesting.
I mean, it's honestly surprising that she didn't have to repeat a year.
I always wondered that too. Yeah.
With missing so much of
what was that, junior year? That was junior year, right?
No, that would have been senior year.
I thought it was junior year when all that shit went down.
Oh, yeah. You mean when she ran away and was in Los Angeles?
And
Yeah.
missed like.
Yeah. No, that would have been in between season 2 and 3.
So
it would have been. So it would have been her senior year.
Okay, I'm all confused. I'll buy it. But still, it's like really
because the end of season 2 was becoming part 2 when she sends Angel to hell, and that's when she skips town, and she comes back at the beginning of season 3.
Okay.
And
All
the
right.
end of season 3 is graduation, so it would have been her senior year.
But when Snyder kicks her out, though, that's still junior year.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think she misses some junior year and some senior year, and it's just like nobody seems to mind when she comes back. They're just like, okay, pick up where you left off. You know? Anyway, we cut to the next day, and it's apparently the first day of actual classes. Oh boy, this scene, James. So Buffy is in this pop culture class, which Willow had described to her would be, like probably a pretty cool class to take because you're watching movies and, you're getting credit for it. Well, there's this teacher. He's pacing back and forth and drinking what appears to be, I don't know, fucking absinthe or something out of a fucking like a wooden, I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but he's drinking something, and you can immediately tell that this guy is 10 pounds of douche in a 5-pound bag. I've known teachers just like him. And he, at one point, Buffy's like, well, is this class still available? And he's like, if your name's not on this list, then you're not in this class. And he just he has her stand up, and he just treats her like total shit and yells at her and then starts screaming for her to get out. And dude, at that moment, I was just like, fuck, I want to beat that guy's ass. And
Joss apparently based this guy on a real professor he had in high school.
I could believe it because, like I said, I've known teachers like that, and they were always fucking those kind of people who are so self-important and just people that you don't want to know.
Yeah. Regarding Professor Reigert, that's the character in this episode, Joss said he's based on an old professor of mine, Joe Reed, who kicked my friend David out of class day 1 in front of 200 kids.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, what kind of classes was he taking in high school that had 200 kids in it?
No, it was a college class.
Oh, college class. Okay, my bad. Anyway, so yeah, she gets the fuck out of there, and she's pretty devastated out in the halls. And that's when she runs into who?
I don't know who she run into.
She runs into Bupkis.
I was kidding. I know.
And he offers she got to go to psych class, which, as we've already learned earlier in their meeting, that he's the TA for Professor Walsh, who's supposedly a world-renowned psych teacher, and so he offers to show her where class is, and so they go to said class. And Professor Walsh comes in and introduces herself. She seems kind of cool. She's like, some of you are going to come to know me as Maggie, and the rest of you will come to know me as a name that my TAs call me, but they don't think I know. And it's, what was it again?
The evil bitch monster of death.
Yeah. And it's like, no, she's so cool. Not really.
Also, that's a really long name for her TAs to be calling her behind her back.
Why not just call her that bitch?
Like bitch, right?
Yeah.
Or even just death monster.
Yeah. Or just that bitch.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, we cut to that night, and what's going on, James, that night?
Buffy is lost on campus and trying to find her way, and she runs into Daddy Pedro.
She runs into the Mandalorian. Let's get it straight. He's in full Mandalorian regalia.
No, she runs into what's his character's name on on The Last of Us. Fuck, I can't remember his character. Joel, yeah. Or is it Joel or Noel? It's Joel. Joel. She runs into Joel.
Or we could say she runs into the Viper.
Sure, she runs into the Viper
from Game of Thrones.
Right. No, she runs into Eddie, who is another freshman, and he's just as overwhelmed as she is. And they discuss their need of a security blanket in their unfamiliar surroundings. And he tells Buffy that his security blanket is the novel of Human Bondage. And then he tells her that he's read it at least 10 times and keeps a copy in his nightstand by his bed. And Buffy ponders that maybe Mr. Pointy counts as her security blanket.
And he's like, Mr. Pointy, and she's like, my dildo. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, wait, why is it pointy? And she's like, shh, don't ask.
Right. She's like, she goes like this. She goes, shh, 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 shh. Don't ask.
Don't ask questions.
So they finally end up coming to the point on the path they're taking where they need to go their separate ways, and ironically, the song "Separate Ways" starts blaring.
And by the way, he has an actual map of the campus, and he's still lost.
Yeah.
She's just walking around. She doesn't have a map. He has an actual fucking map, and I'm like, whoa! How the fuck did you get into college and you don't know how to read a map?
Right. So they go their separate ways, and unfortunately, Eddie runs afoul of a gang of vampires.
He does,
and we then cut to them breaking into his dorm room and taking all of his shit and leaving behind a note on his bed,
as though written by him. And it says at the very end, for some reason, it just says deuces.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
This was, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, like, we see where this is going. Like, obviously Eddie's met, an unfortunate fate.
A horrific doom.
Right. Which is kind of like, I was kind of bummed out because, for one, the brief moment we had with his character, I kind of would have liked to see him become a recurring character.
I would have much rather seen her fall for him over time.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that, like, as a character, he would have been a much better love interest for Buffy.
Yeah, because
over the course of the season,
he goes against everything that she's had with Angel. Like, he's the total opposite, and it would have been, and he's a phenomenal actor, obviously.
Right.
And I'm sure he was even then, but they had to go the cliche route,
And to get into the chemistry thing, and we'll talk about this more as the season goes. There was a lot of chemistry between Pedro and SMG in the brief scenes they had together. They really clicked. So I was kind of bummed. Like, I was like, and I've obviously, like, this is, I'm rewatching it, of course. And it's been, like we've talked before, it's been a good 10 years since I've rewatched, both shows all the way through, as opposed to going back to certain episodes every now and then. So it's been a while since I'd seen this episode.
Been a while.
Sorry. And but yeah, like, I was kind of like, man, they really should have. I really feel like his character would have been a nice addition as a reoccurring character throughout the season, and possibly a love interest for Buffy.
Yeah, and even if he ultimately, dies at the end of the season or something, some big thing to sacrifices himself or something for her or whatever. And here, he's also a character who has no idea about the other side of the world, the other things going bump in the night, and
right.
Could have been good, but we got Bupkis instead. Get ready,
I'm sorry, but kind of piggyback on what you just said, him not knowing about the things that go bump bump in the night. Like not always, but a good portion of the time in shows like this, it does kind of add an interesting dynamic to your main characters. And I'm gonna you'll probably know where I'm gonna go with this right now, and it's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I think that was one of the things that worked really good with Dr. Anne on Highlander and Duncan.
Oh yeah.
Is the fact that she wasn't privy to that world.
She wasn't
for
part of that world. She had no idea it existed.
right for a decent chunk of time that she was on the show.
Yep.
So-
100. 100. We agree 100.
But anyway, yeah. So then we cut to the next day, and we forgot to mention that over the course of their conversation, Buffy and Eddie discovered that they're both in Maggie Walsh's Psych 105 class together.
Right. Which, why is it 105? I always thought the beginning of a thing was always
Dude, thank you. I wasn't going to bring this up because I wasn't sure, but when she was like, I'm Professor Maggie Walsh, this is Psych 105, the intro to psychology, I was like, wait a minute, aren't intro courses always 101?
That's what I always thought, and that's what it always was in my world, but
Right.
apparently in Buffyverse, the
Right.
beginning of an intro class is 105.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's a California thing.
Maybe because a little James life story here. I only went to community college, okay, for a short period of time, and all of my beginning classes at community college were 101 classes. Now, when I tested to get into college, I did manage to test out of certain 101 intro classes into like 102s, right? Yeah. Like my first college English class was like English 104. So
yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I was under the assumption, like I think a lot of people are, that intro classes are 101.
And that's the old saying that everyone on the planet uses. It's they'll say intro to history 101. It's
right, yeah. So where we cut to the next day, and oh my god, you know what that gets? That gets.
Oh. So for those not watching, the last 20 seconds means absolutely nothing to you.
That just means you have to go watch it. Haha. So she's looking for Eddie in the psych class, and she can't find him. And is Oz there too?
Yes, Oz is there too. Because he and Willow walk up, and
right.
So he says, "Are you looking for somebody?"
And she says, "Yeah." And Willow's like, "Oh, you made a friend." And Buffy's like, "Thanks, Mom."
Yeah, thanks, Mom. And then she punches Willow
in the vagina.
A falcon punch right into the Virginia, and fuck, man, it's over for poor Willow.
Willow's done, and Oz.
She died.
Willow's done, and Oz is like, Buffy, I'm not gonna be able to use that for at least 24 hours now.
I gotta wait till a full moon, and then I can eat it. Oh, double entendre. Okay. We fail.
So then we cut to Eddie's dorm, and Buffy's there, and his RA lets her into the room. And
I thought I was the only one that put that in my notes about it being her RA.
Oh, and
I never went to college, but I know all these terms. So.
We watch a lot of TV.
Clearly.
She finds his empty room, obviously, and the note on his bed, and the RA proceeds to tell her that, it happens a lot and some students just can't handle the college life and bail on it early.
Then wait. Then all of a sudden, when he says that, Buffy stands up and slams her fist down. And she's like, "I want the truth!" And he just slams the door and he's like, "You can't handle the truth!" And it gets weird.
It gets real weird.
Weird.
It gets real weird. Yeah.
But then they just go right back to their normal conversation.
Right. Because like the next 15 minutes of the episode is literally them reenacting the courtroom scene from
The
A Few Good
entire,
Men.
like,
The entire scene.
Yeah.
Word for word. Yeah.
And then they just go right back to their previous conversation as though nothing had happened.
Yeah. It's strange.
It's like a fucking trippy episode of Family Guy.
Right. It's very akin to when Jeremy and I just start to flutter off away from the episode and talk about random shit.
We spend like 20 minutes out in the weeds somewhere.
Right. Before we finally remember, oh, shit, we're supposed to be doing a Buffy podcast.
We actually are being listened to right now by some people who are probably like, shut the fuck
Shut
up.
If you're a first-time listener, I apologize.
Sorry.
You better go back to the beginning and start from there.
So you know what you got in
So
store.
you know what you got into. If you need references for how good the podcast actually is, you can reach out to Darlene on the Facebook page and Catherine.
Other than that,
probably
all 1 stars.
So anyway, Buffy sits down on the bed and happens to see.
Sing for some reason. I didn't understand that.
What? What'd you say? I missed that.
You said she sat down on the bed, and I said she started undressing for some reason.
It was weird.
And he's like, whoa. I'm gay.
Okay.
And she's like, so am I. And he's like, oh, okay, then that cancels it out. So, okay.
Right.
All right, I got to stop. I'm sorry.
She's looking at his nightstand and she notices that the drawer's open and there's something inside. So she opens the drawer, and what does she see in the drawer, Jeremy?
Don't throw it at me like that. She sees the book that, what was it?
Of Human Bondage.
Human Bondage, which he has made clear is his whoopee. So she's like, nah, he ain't gone because he would have never left this.
Exactly.
But under that book...
No, stop.
I'm just kidding.
I was about to tell you I was very proud of you for doing the serious take and saying what actually happened.
All
and
right.
you were about to blow it. And you were about to blow it.
I'll leave it.
So we cut to the...
So in other words, that's like her first clue that like something's fucking
not right.
up.
Right. Yeah. So then we cut to the vampire gang's lair, and they're going through all of his belongings. And our lead vampire, whose name is Sunday.
What is?
It
I
is.
completely missed that.
Yeah, her name's
At
Sunday.
the very end of this and my note taking and everything, I was like, I called her the vamp queen bitch throughout all the notes because I was like, what the? They never say her name.
No, they do. In fact, I think she introduces. I don't think we find out her name until she introduces herself to Buffy.
Okay.
In their first encounter.
By the way, just really quick,
Uh-huh.
am I on crack or does she look really familiar?
She does. And, I didn't look. I should have. Back when we first started the show, I used to look up everybody's IMDb's. As longtime listeners might remember, and I'm sure you do. And I would kind of give some credits that the guest stars had been in. And I stopped doing that after like the first season because it's time consuming and no one really gives a shit.
I did.
What? Oh. I didn't look her up. Her name is Catherine Town. But yeah, she does look very familiar.
Very fucking familiar.
I didn't look her up.
Like almost to the point where it's like she's played this character before, not as a vampire, maybe, but she has played this character before, and I've seen it somewhere.
Right.
Anyway, I was like, it bugged me, and I could have just looked her up, but I'm an idiot.
So they're going through all of Eddie's shit, and Sunday is complaining that all of his stuff is boring, and you know, wonders why they don't go after cooler people, and they all get ready to go on that night's hunt, and she walks past dead Eddie on the bed, and we close in on his face as his eyes snap open.
So Eddie is now a vampire.
He is a vampire.
And now, really quick.
Okay.
So
Good job. So then we cut to.
So this nest of vampires, their MO is kill students,
right?
Normally, probably turn them into a vampire, steal all their shit out of their dorm, rinse and repeat.
Yes,
that is their overall evil MO.
Yes, their modus operandi.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay. And as we'll find later, they've been doing this since 1982.
Right, and I'm not sure that they always turn their.
Probably not always. There would be a million of them in there, but
right.
It is something clearly that happens because Stoner vampire dude has clearly been made a vampire not too long ago.
Right. So then we cut to Giles's place, and what's happening there, Jeremy?
Fucking.
Yeah, there is.
And I'm not
no
joke,
people. No joke.
Yeah, I ain't even bullshitting. A very attractive lady walks out as Buffy walks into Giles and closes his door and kind of walks in. A very attractive lady comes walking out of apparently the hallway that leads to Giles' bedroom, and she is wearing only a smile. No, she's wearing only Giles' button-up shirt.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Did the fact that hallway apparently leads to Giles's bedroom confuse you? Considering the fact that
Jenny was upstairs in the bed, yeah.
When Angelus killed Jenny, he staged her up in that loft area
where there
was
a
bed.
Maybe that is the guest loft.
Maybe.
And the actual love room is down that hall.
Maybe.
That's where Giles keeps the whips and the chains and all the various bondage instruments.
Could be. Okay.
Because they talk
his red room.
Yes.
Okay.
Buffy and this woman talk a little bit, and Buffy's like, I am clearly here at a bad time. And about that time is when Giles emerges wearing a French maid's outfit and fucking stockings and high heels. And he's like, Mommy! And then he sees Buffy and he's like, I'm sorry, what? And no, none of that happens.
He's actually, it looks like a French maid outfit, but it's actually his Frankenfurter costume.
He's cosplaying as Dr. Frankenfurter, yes.
From when he did RHPS.
Yes. No, he comes out in a bathrobe. So clearly they was a bumping. And she's like creeped out, and he's like, what? I'm not allowed to have a social life? And she's like, no, because you're very, very old. And I'm like, fuck you, he's like 40 something.
I was just gonna say, mind you, again, Giles is only like our age.
Yeah, he's mid 40s, and so am I. And I'm like, fuck you, Buffy. And anyway, she's clearly wanting to get the gang together and do things like they always have as she's reaching out. She's needing familiarity. And he's kind of dickish in this scene.
I hate to say this, I did not like Giles
in this scene.
in
Yeah,
this scene.
he's
I
very.
was like,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go
Go
ahead.
No, no.
I was like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? Why are you being such a ball sack right now?
Right, and because she's spilling her. Okay, she's saying that there's probably this thing going on there on campus. She's clearly having troubles. Like he should see all this, but he gives no fucks, and he's just being a total dick. And he's like, "Well, you don't have a watcher anymore, Buffy. Remember?" And it's like, "Well, you were already fired from the watch, but you had said that you were going to be her partner in all this, regardless. And now you're fucking shirking your duties so you can fucking bang some chick." It's like, what the what?
And
He's
yeah,
sipping on fucking scotch on the rocks
right.
and stuff, and I'm like,
And yeah,
what's happening?
and yeah, Olivia is fucking hot. I get
Yeah,
it, dude. I
yeah.
get it. But
But
come
there's
on,
no
man.
reason you can't hit it and quit it
Right,
and go help Buffy.
right. Olivia will be there when you get back, bro.
Yeah. She's from England. Where's she gonna go? She ain't gonna swim home.
Right.
She's gonna be there. I don't know. I did not like Giles in this scene. He's very
The thing that
and he's like, well, you're just gonna have to be able to do things like these for yourself. And I'm like, wait, what?
right.
Just at the end of last season, you made this whole big thing about how you're going to be there and you're always going to be there. Watcher, no watcher. You're her, basically
Right.
surrogate dad. And now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, you're on your own, chick.
And not only, and then the shit pickle on top of this whole thing is that the scene ends with him telling her, "I'll always be there if you need me." Dude, she needs you right now. What the
right
fuck are
fucking
you
now.
talking about?
Right. And nobody, and I mean nobody, likes a shit pickle.
No one likes a shit pickle.
But he sure fucking laid one there on top of that sandwich.
Right. Right.
So she's like, okay, I guess I'm on my own. So she
Feel free to go back to fucking.
Yeah, I guess that's more important than helping out this child who you've raised into this supernatural world, But I guess you got to go fuck. So she leaves, and that night she decides to go patrol there on campus, and she's trying to, but there's fucking people everywhere, and she's like, how am I supposed to patrol with all these fucking people everywhere, And I'm like, well, honestly, Buff, a college campus is probably not the best place to try to patrol to start with.
Right.
But I get it. She's trying to find Eddie, and the last place she saw him was on campus. So then she looks kind of across the way a little bit and sees Eddie. It's fucking Eddie. She should have immediately been like, he's a vampire. He's a fucking vampire.
Right.
They got him. They turned him. He's trying to lead me into a trap. He's a fucking vampire. She should have went straight back to her trunk, got her fucking shit, and then went back to where because she immediately goes and follows him because he scampers off back into the woods, basically. And she follows him. And she gets there, and it's Queen Vampire bitch. What's her name? Sunny?
Well, first her and Eddie have a brief scuffle.
Oh yeah, they have a yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. And she's like, I was worried about you. And she goes, and then he turns into a vamp, and she's like, because you're a vampire. Of course you are. And they have a brief little struggle, and she just insta-dusts him.
Yep. And
Eddie is no more. And I'm like, Pedro. Oh.
Right. I was like, Daddy.
So Pedro's no more. And then she turns around, and it's Queen Vamp bitch Sunny, whatever. And the rest of her goon squad, and lots of shit talk. She's like, oh, you're the Slayer. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to kick your ass. And Buffy's like, well, we can all play together. And
this is where we find out that her name is Sunday.
Oh, okay. So apparently at some point she says, hi, I'm Sunday. And Buffy's like, hi, I'm Buffy. So the fisticuffs begin between Queen Bitch Vamp and Buffy. And long story short, Buffy gets housed. This chick beats the fucking brakes off of Buffy and seemingly breaks her fucking arm. Has her at one point in like some type of fucking judo lock, kung fu grip, and just like you just hear snap, crunch, and Buffy's like, ah, and Buffy fails, like literally runs the fuck away.
Yep.
And Queen Vamp bitch is like, oh, I'll get you later, my pretty. And we cut to a little bit later, and Buffy's back in her dorm nursing that sore arm, and she's looking pretty scared and pretty like, what the fuck happened? Like, what's happening to me, you know? And the next morning when she comes out of her dorm, not out of the dorm room, but out of the building, she sees Oz and Willow off in the distance, and she just quickly turns and goes the other way, just completely avoids them. I guess doesn't want to have to. I don't know. She's just feeling she's got so many feels right now that she just doesn't even want to have to deal with trying to explain it all to Willow and Oz even.
Right.
And then we cut to the Vamps and their hideout. And what's going on there, James?
Do we?
We do.
Oh, you're gonna have to talk about it then, because I apparently didn't bother to write anything about this down.
Yep. We cut to them in their little hideout, where we've been before, and they're laughing and talking about how Sunday beat the shit out of Buffy, and one of the stoner goon vampires is like, and then you insulted her ensemble, and she was like, hey, and I don't know, it was a really stupid line, but. And she's like, tonight, you guys are going to go into the tunnels and go hunting. And I was like, okay, because later this never pays off. But anyway, that's what she tells them.
I think that's why I didn't write. I remember this scene. I think that's why I didn't write it down, is because it's kind of like, I don't know. To me, it was insignificant to the episode.
Yeah. At this point, we cut to Buffy's mama house.
We cut to Casa de Summer.
Casa de, what's her full name?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn.
What was it? Jocelyn?
Shit, I forgot.
I don't remember.
Something about a hooer.
It was Jocelyn something hooer.
Jocelyn Hooer Sumer.
Sumer. Yes, that's right.
That
right.
was it. Yeah, okay.
Jocelyn Hooer Summers.
So mom is just coming in from an all-nighter, and I mean working the streets.
Right, in Pound Town.
In Pound Town. She looks pretty ragged. She's got smeared mascara. Her lipstick isn't even on her lips, but like all the way around the outside of her lips. Mm-hmm. She's looking pretty rough. No, so she is surprised to see Buffy, and she's like, I didn't expect you to be home so soon. And Buffy goes to the door of her room, which is packed full of shit. And she's like, well, it's still your room. She's like, but we're doing inventory at the gallery, and I needed an extra place to put some things. And Buffy's like, wow, what a fucking bitch.
She's like, she says, if it's still my room, shouldn't I be able to fit in it?
Right. And she's not wrong.
Right.
So she just kind of leaves, and she goes down the hall, and the phone rings, and she picks the phone up and says hello, and nothing. She says hello again, nothing, and then click, I hang up, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that has to do with, but we'll find out. So, she's not at home for very long, because the very next scene, she's back at school. And she's walking down the hall to her dorm. She walks into her dorm room, and all of her shit is gone. All of it. And there's a note on the bed, supposedly written by her, just like for Eddie, saying, she couldn't handle it, blah, 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 blah. She's left.
It's literally the same note.
And it says P.S. deuces at the end. Again. So she's like, fuck, they took all my shit. I can't even change my clothes. So she's kind of overwhelmed at this point, and where does she go but to the Bronze? Le Bronze. And of course, there's some horrible music playing.
That is this week's bronze band, Splendid, performing You and Me.
Okay, horrible music, as I said. Um, and she's kind of at one point she's kind of scanning the crowd. At one point, it looks like Angel, and then the guy turns, and it's definitely not Angel. It is some goofy looking bastard.
But do you know why it looked like Angel at first?
Did they show? Was it actually a clip of?
No, it wasn't a clip. It was an uncredited cameo from Mr. Boreanaz.
Oh, was it really?
Yep.
I'll be damned.
Right up until the point where he
see
turns
the-
around and
yeah.
then it's someone else. Yeah.
It's clearly not him. And she's like, "Mwah, mwah, mwah, mwah." And then she turns, and who is it but Xander, which no one really missed.
I was like, I'm not even kidding. Xander showed up, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, I really wasn't missing him at all.
No, not at all.
So they start talking, and she's like, so tell me all about, your trip. Apparently, he didn't get very far when his car broke down and in some little town, and he had to take
Oxnard.
a job originally as a dishwasher in a strip club, right?
Yes.
A male strip club.
Yes.
In order to pay for the repairs to his car.
Yes.
And at some point, he was forced to become a male stripper.
Yes. One of the strippers got sick, and Xander was forced to fill in for him.
Right, literally, if you know what we're saying.
Which apparently worked out in his favor because that made him enough money to be able to make the repairs to his car and get back to Sunnydale.
Right.
But he also tells Buffy that he's been back for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that he's just been like, I guess, and he says, I still live at home, except now I have to sleep in the basement and I have to pay rent.
Right.
And she's like, TMI, bro. And so then she kind of spills about this vamp bitch and this whole shit that she's been dealing with, and he goes into this very un-Xander like rah positive speech, and really pumps her up, and he's like, this is who we are, let's go get this bitch. And Buffy's like, yeah, and then they both leave like fucking shooting 45s into the air.
He does. It is a very, for Xander, it is a very like
un-Xander
like speech. He tells her, in the darkest times, that I've been through, I always think to myself, what would Buffy do? And he tells her that she's his hero.
But then he also says to her,
but then he completely Xanders it up,
yes.
And he's like, also in my darkest times, I think, what is Buffy wearing?
Yes, exactly.
And she says to him, that's one of those things you don't have to tell me.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah, she's like, that's one of the things you should never say ever to me again, or I'll kill you.
Yeah, he completely Xanders it up.
Yeah. So they leave the bronze together, and they're ready to fucking do this bitch in. Now, this next scene I'm all confused about. I watched it twice to see if I missed anything. I don't know. Apparently they have broken into a newspaper office.
I wasn't sure either. At first I thought police station, and I was like, no, there would be fucking cops.
Yeah, because 24/7.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe something at the college.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. But here's where I thought it was a newspaper place, because there's newspapers fucking everywhere behind them on these tables, and he's able to pull a newspaper from 1982.
Right.
So I was thinking, okay, this must be the newspaper office. She's on the computer, Buffy, and she had just apparently typed in "solve my problem" enter, and And then he's all like, wait a minute. So how did he say that? When did the disappearances start?
Right.
Like, how far back do they go? And she just types in, give me magic answer, enter, and the computer. And then she goes, apparently since 1982. And then he goes, oh, here, score. And he pulls this 1982 newspaper and shows it to her. And he's like, the such and such fraternity went out of whatever they do, went out of business or
lost its charter.
Whatever. And this place has been abandoned ever since then. This has got to be our place. And they're like, well, yeah, clearly. This is obviously where they are. And they're like, score, da-da-da, and they leave. That was such a confusing fucking scene to me, dude. I was like, James is going to laugh at me because he's going to like clearly know. He's going to be like, what are you, stupid? They were at the such and such and it said so and so. And, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I narrowed it down to either someplace on the UC Sunnydale campus or like you said, some sort of archival news room. Sorry.
Wow, it took all that just to get room out.
Well, I was trying to think of a better word, but room, but which would probably be at a newspaper.
I get you, man.
At first, I thought it was. I'm not even gonna lie. I had to be like, no, that fucking blew up.
I know what you're gonna say.
At first, I thought it was the library
at the high school
at Sunnydale High.
Yes,
and then I was like, wait, no, that blew the fuck up.
That shit where they were at, that shit was repurposed.
Oh yeah,
like that was the same fucking set, but like redesigned briefly.
Right, rearranged a little bit.
Yeah. So anyway, we cut to the next scene, and they've already found the place where the hideout is. They've gone to this address. Now, we all know that fraternity and what are the female versions called?
Sororities.
I'm sorry, I drew a blank there. Fraternity houses and sorority houses are they're houses, like big houses.
This place looks like a mausoleum.
Yes, and they're on the roof, which is like a flat roof that has giant skylights on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, is this a gymnasium? Because they're spying through the spyglass skylight, and they're going through Buffy's shit, and it's making her more and more shitty. So she's like, all right, Xander, go and get my trunk. Which I'm like, why does she need the trunk? All she needs is like a stick. But anyway, she's like, it could be, go to Willow's, go blah, 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 blah. He's like, all right, BRB. And she's like, no problem. I'm going to be here, keeping an eye on him. And they're going through some more of her shit. And she's like, you bitch, that's my blah, blah. And she fucking falls through the skylight. Face first, right in front of Queen Ice Cream Sundae. And she gets up and tries to kind of, Buffy the situation, like, and Ice Cream Sundae immediately punches her in the face. And Will and Oz are now at her dorm, and what's going on? They're at Willow and Oz are now at Buffy's dorm. And keep in mind, they have no idea of what's been going on in the last day and a half or so with Buffy.
Right. So Willow is adamant with Kathy, Buffy's roommate, that Buffy isn't the type to run away. It's not in her nature. And then she's like, well, except for the time when she did.
Except for the time when she literally did just exactly this.
And she's like, but there were circumstances. And then she's like, but maybe there's circumstances now, and we didn't see the circumstances. Yeah. And she has a little mini breakdown. And Xander pops up, and and
it's the first time they've seen him, by the way.
Right. And he hugs Willow, and he hugs Kathy, and he's like, I don't know you, do I? And she's like, no. And he's like, this is intrusive, isn't it? And she's like, a little bit. And then he says hi to Oz, and he's like, "Do we hug?" And Oz is like, "No, we're too manly for hugs," or something to that.
He's
Something
like,
like
"No,
that.
we tongue kiss."
Right, we tongue kiss.
And Xander's like, "Okay," and he leans in, and they handle
Right.
business.
Right. And then Oz is like, "And we jerk each other off?"
And we hold each other's penises.
And Xander's like, "That sounds right. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we do that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah."
We're going to hell.
What?
Nothing.
Did you say we're going to hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I wonder if we can podcast. I wonder if we can podcast from hell. Do you think they have? You think they have internet? Do they
Yeah.
have high speed?
Like the chair you sit on the whole time has like spikes on it that goes up your ass. You know, because it's hell.
Doesn't sound like hell to me. Oh.
Hi-oh!
Oh, so the reunion's out of the way, and Xander is like, he makes up this story about how their other friends are pranking Buffy. It's all a prank, and yada yada, and eventually Will and Oz catch on, and they depart, leaving Kathy there in the dorm room. And we cut back to the vampire lair, and Buffy's being manhandled by Sunday, and Sunday ends up picking up the class protector trophy that Buffy was given at graduation at the end of last season, and she breaks it, and it's kind of like the last straw for Buffy, and she proceeds to give Sunday and her vampire clan a sound whooping.
A sound whooping.
Sound whooping. Willow and Xander and Oz show up, and a couple of the vampires escape, but Buffy does take out Sunday with a there's a piece of broken tennis racket that Buffy had busted earlier in the fight, and she wings it backhanded, and it nails Sunday in the heart. So Sunday is dusted. So then they're leaving with all of Buffy's things, and Giles comes running up, and he's carrying a bunch of weapons, and he starts to apologize profusely to Buffy for turning her away, and he said he's ready to, and he says he's ready to fight the evil, and they just keep walking, and he's like, oh, is the evil this way?
Yeah.
And Willow asks him to to take one of the boxes she's carrying, so he does. And
really quick, at the end of that fight, right before she dusted Ice Cream Sunday, one of the vamps escapes, and it is the vamp from the beginning of the episode who Buffy fails to dust because he rises and sees them and all the weapons and bails.
Is it? I didn't catch that.
It is the same vamp.
Oh, I did not catch that. So as the scene ends, Buffy's kind of realizing that college is actually a lot like high school, and so she's better prepared for what to expect. And then we cut to that vampire you were just speaking of, which again I didn't realize was the same vampire from the beginning of the episode.
One and the same.
We see him running away, and he is suddenly tased, and we see 3 armed military guys,
Yeah, like paramilitary looking dudes.
In camouflage fatigues, slowly approaching the fallen vampire.
And they're masked and everything. You can't see who they are.
And that is the end of the episode.
And who knew a taser could take out a fucking vampire? I'll take taser.
Yeah. How about a little monsterology, Jeremy?
Okay, what is it?
We don't have any this week.
Okay. I feel like that's pretty much every single week.
Yeah, because a lot of the episodes have really started dealing more so with just vampires.
Yeah. Maybe monsterology is something we could take out of the repertoire.
Maybe you can fuck right off. How about that?
Okay.
How about that? Our body count for this episode is 4.
I was gonna guess. You should start having me guess.
Okay.
And I would have said 4 because I thought I'd counted 4 in my head.
Our music this week is
horrible.
Oh, you don't like David Bowie?
When did David Bowie play?
David Bowie, Memory of a Free Festival, Part 1 was featured in this episode.
When? I want exact timing.
That's the song that's playing in Giles's apartment when Buffy shows up.
Well, fuck me running.
Soundstage Music Library, Freaky Soul, Splendid, You and Me, Stretch Princess Universe, The Muffs, I Wish That I Could Be You, and of course our original score as composed by series composer Christoph Beck. Jeremy.
Yes, James?
Why don't you tell me how many vampire Pedro Pascals you give this episode?
I think I'm going to surprise you on this one.
Okay.
I'm giving it a 4.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, and I'll give you a couple reasons why.
Okay.
I'm giving it 4 vampire Pedro Pascals. Number 1, I believe that this is one of our better opening episodes of a season thus far. Generally, our first episodes of a season are kind of, I don't want to say they're not bad, but they're kind of not good.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And this one was pretty good, I felt. Probably because Joss wrote it and directed it, and it's his world. But I thought it was pretty good at setting things in motion that are to come, plus hitting the highlights of all the characters, clearly establishing who all still in this thing, and it was a good little self-contained story. I always liked seeing Buffy. I don't want to say get hurt or anything, but I like seeing her struggle, not be the super, heroine for the whole episode.
Right.
Her struggles. She's very human sides of her.
Sure.
I like seeing that, and I like seeing her overcome it and being like, oh, you know what? And then she twirls that thing and just throws it behind her, and the ice cream sundae's done.
Right.
She realizes I'm motherfucking Buffy, So yeah, I other than a couple of little goofy things we talked about that didn't kind of make sense, I thought it was a fairly solid episode. And like I said, especially, I would say it's probably our strongest season opening episode thus far.
Okay.
And that is how I feel. Okay. And that's all I've got to say about that.
All right.
James.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you tell me and our listeners and / viewers, how many out of 5 Mr. Pointies do you give this episode?
I would like to say you're correct. I was surprised by your rating. I think you might be surprised by mine as well. Mm-hmm. I also give this episode a 4.
Okay.
Is that surprising or not?
It's not surprising, but it's also not
expected.
Yeah. It's like I wasn't sure where you would be on this,
Right. Especially given how we have previously talked at length about the overall downgrade in quality of this season.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this episode way more than I thought I was going to going into it again. Yeah, it's not a bad episode. It's I agree with you 100%. I think of our 4 season openers thus far, this is probably the best.
Yep.
Uh, although I will say,
And was close.
yeah, but I will say, retrospectively, I do believe I gave Welcome to the Hellmouth very high marks.
I think I did too.
Simply because it was the series premiere.
Yeah. And it was good.
And it was good.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this is probably one of the strongest season openers we've had so far. Probably one of the strongest episodes of the season to come.
Yep. Yeah. There's a few there. Luckily, they're sprinkled in this season. There are some good ones.
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. Honestly, probably one of my top number one favorite episode of the series is in this season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when I shit on this season, it's an overall
right
shit. There's definitely some good shit in this.
There is some standout stuff in this season to come. But anyway, back to this episode. Yeah, again, I think it's one of our strongest season openers so far, if not the strongest. Honestly, I liked the reestablishing who's left of our main cast, and where they are going into this new environment, this new setting for them. I liked our brief introductions to who will become ongoing characters this season, i.e. Riley and Professor Walsh. It works as a self-contained episode, as you said, very well. But it also works on a level of it sprinkles us into our ongoing season 4 mysteries, so to speak. Who the hell are these army guys tasing vampires?
Where the hell were they earlier when Buffy was getting housed by this bitch?
Right. I like, much like yourself, I like it when Buffy's not the superheroine, throughout the entire episode, just kind of, manhandling everything that comes her way.
Although I do like those episodes too.
Oh sure. Oh yeah, 100%.
They're fun when she's just on and she's just owning everything. It's like, yeah.
When she is firing at 100% badass Slayer level. Oh yeah, that's fucking awesome.
It's a fun episode. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? I liked. What's the best way to put this? So, Buffy was, even though in our first 3 seasons in high school, she wasn't quote unquote one of the popular kids. She was a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like
a little fish in a big pond.
I like the introduction of her being a smaller fish in a bigger pond. And I think that's kind of really exemplified well and I know you had issues with the scene where we're introduced to Riley for the first time.
Yeah.
Because if this was Sunnydale High, Riley most likely would have been the guy that you said he should have been, like instantly attracted to Buffy and, this and that.
Mm.
But the fact that he's more interested in having a intellectual conversation with Willow about Professor Walsh and Professor Walsh's class and Professor Walsh's papers, to me, does illustrate that smaller fish in a bigger pond.
Is that really what happened though, or did they go off for a handy?
I'm looking at what was actually presented in the episode, not what we haphazardly extrapolate in our falsified headcanon as happening.
If reality's the world you want to live in.
Yeah, I'm not Republican.
Oh,
ouch,
you're supposed to have
oh.
an audience.
So yeah, it's a 4 overall. It's a 4. Yeah. Like I said, when I was done watching the episode, I was genuinely surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And,
I
and
was
how
too.
good it was.
I don't remember liking it this much
right.
first time around. And
Right.
I was like, oh, you know what? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
As the episode went along, I was like, okay, I remember how this goes. And if I remember correctly, this is a pretty good episode. So yeah.
So yeah, that's my stance on it.
And you're sticking to it?
I'm sticking to it.
Okay. All right. Show's over. Thanks for everybody for joining. No.
Piss off, wankers.
Wankers. James, could you succinctly explain to our fine listening and viewing audience how they could make contact with us should they wish to do so?
Yes, they can go to BuffyRevisited.com and they will find links to our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel and links to well, I guess that's really all they need to know, because if they're listening to it, they already have those links, don't they?
Yeah. Go to any of your major podcast providers and get the audio version.
If you go to our Facebook page, you can leave us comments on any of our posts. We post every week. Teaser
picture of a nipple.
It's usually a picture of a nipple. We post every week about the episode that's being dropped. That'll be up to 2 times a week this season with the introduction of Angel. Feel free to leave us a comment on any of our posts there. You can hit us up on Messenger. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch the video version of this very podcast that you're listening to right now. And
this very one?
This very one.
Oh my God.
And you will be able to see this Putnam and that Putnam. And you might not be able to keep your panties on.
Or boxers.
Or boxers. Or tidy whities. Whatever you got on.
Whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable.
Right. If you're free balling, then you're probably just going to drop trow altogether.
Or if you're a nudist.
You
just, spit in the hand and
right. If you are using our videos for that sort of thing, please tell us. We would love to know.
Especially James, he would love to know that.
I would love to know.
It would probably make his week, his month, possibly his year.
Yeah, 100% it would. No joke. Look how happy I am.
Look how excited he is.
Thinking about it.
It's like, yeah,
yes. No, and you can leave us comments there on our YouTube videos. You can email us at buffyrevisited@gmail.com. Reach out to us on any of those platforms, any of those numerous ways. Leave us comments about the episodes, your thoughts, your opinions about the episodes, about the series, both series overall, your thoughts about the podcast itself. We definitely look forward to it. To any new listeners or anybody who is a returning listener and hasn't checked out those things, I particularly encourage you to check out the Facebook. There's been a lot more fan interaction on the Facebook over the last few months. A couple of dedicated listeners have decided to chime in on episodes and give their own thoughts and opinions on them.
Which is
You know,
exactly what we want.
right, and ongoing discussion about them, which, like Jeremy said, is exactly what we want. We 100% love interacting with you guys and talking about these. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't love talking about the show.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
So, and as much as I like talking to Jeremy, I like to talk to other people about this shit too.
Yeah, he prefers talking to other people.
If I could have a random host with me every week, that would be ideal.
Yeah, he would prefer that.
No. So yeah, that's how you can reach out to us, everybody. Please do.
This is the part where I used to say that we'd see you next week and here's what's coming up, except from now on, it's not see you next week. It's see you Wednesday, which is in 2 days, which we will be in which we will be covering season 1, episode 1 of Angel, City of.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us this week. We can't wait to see you next week for our inaugural Angel episode. That's going to be fun. I've been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Top.